Yeah, so the first question is going to be, what is your favorite part of discipleship? And all you guys can go ahead and just, yeah, starting with Michael.
Oh, shoot. Okay. So, my favorite part of discipleship is the vulnerability that I can get in with my guys. I think it's really special to be able to sit down with a group. Well, because I do group discipleship with Jesse and Markin, but I've experienced single one-on-one discipleships over the years as well, and I think vulnerability is really cool. The opportunity to really sit down with someone on a weekly basis and share all the things that are going on in your life. I think with the ability to sort of know that the other person isn't judging you, that they're loving you, that they're able to support you, that they're there for you. Because you made a commitment, right? Like entering discipleship, you made a commitment to like say, I'm gonna be with you and I'm gonna stick it with you regardless of like the situations that we're going through. Like we're gonna work through it together. I think it's really like a big honor to be able to be invited into those situations and talk through hard things. So vulnerability is really big. I think it also leads towards like just like having a hard conversation even when it's uncomfortable, because there's that sense of trust that's developed through vulnerability. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing for me. Yeah.
Cool. So I think my favorite part of discipleship is just being able to talk about everything and anything that you want to talk about. Like usually how it starts off is like Kalai will ask me and Mark, oh, so how are your weeks? And that's like the first like 30, 40 minutes. So we just like talk about whatever's happening, and I think it's also just really great how we get to have spiritual conversations, because generally like I'm not really like having spiritual conversations with that many people. Because like even like with my roommates, like we're all Christian, but we just like talk about life and not always like God. And so it's always good to like be able to ask any spiritual questions I have, and yeah, just be able to like think more about God. Yeah.
For discipleship, I think for me it really is about all the consistency that comes with it. Because coming into college for me, I was really looking into, or I really wanted to see myself get to know more guys, like consistently. So through discipleship, because you have committed to going through discipleship with someone that's a little older than you, you commit to a specific time during the week where you meet up. In our case, we meet up as a group of 3, and we are able to just share, just like they were saying, share whatever we had on our minds, any tough situations, or we're able to share in each other's joy or in each other's suffering. And that's just something that's really apparent in discipleship. And again, you can touch on basically whatever you want. It gives you the time and space to, like maybe two hours for us, 1.5 hours, something like that. It gives you that space to just really open up to your brothers in Christ or your sisters in Christ.
I think on top of what everyone else has already said, so like consistency, accountability. I think that for me, I think one of the biggest things that I really appreciate about discipleship with John is that John is very patient. He's a really good listener. He asks a lot of questions, and so like sometimes I'll go into the week not really wanting him to be there. It's just like it's not a great day. Kind of tired, just like one more thing to do. But slowly, because John is so patient, because he's always so listening, he's asking a lot of questions about trying to help me think more about my situations. It really kind of like draws you out of my room, my funk, I don't know. But I think that for me, what's been really important for me is that John's helped me discover a lot more about who I am, myself, where I'm at spiritually, when a lot of times like you can, when it's in your mind, like you can think a lot of things, but you're not really, him asking questions helps me figure things out, essentially, is what I'm saying.
So one thing I really enjoy about the leadership is we get to like carry each other's burdens. If you are like struggling with something like reading the Bible every day, what I try to do is I would send a text out. So if we meet like on Monday, I send a text out like Thursday or Friday, like, hey, don't forget to spend some time in the Word today. So I like to be more like proactive, like not just like discipleship time is the set time I should talk to you, but like I talk to you outside of that, like how's your week going? like just send like a little text of encouragement, and yeah, I really enjoy that. Recently, Joe has been, I don't know, just like really getting into mathy thinking stuff, and I really enjoy doing that and having those discussions with him, so it's cool.
Oh my gosh, I love discipleship. Whenever people talk to me about it, I'm like, it's the 1 hour of the week that I look forward to the most, because you just life bark. You just literally say what's on your mind. And I feel like being, I don't know, for most girls, if you're more introverted and you don't really like to initiate, I feel like discipleship is really perfect, because I feel like I get asked out on a date by Danica like every week. Honestly, the best feeling ever. Like, I've been with a long week, and they're like, oh, you want to come hang out at my house? I'm like, yeah, I do. And then you just talk about life, and you get to talk about deeper things than just things you talk about at school, like math all the time. So,
I really enjoy discipleship. Discipling and being discipled, I think one aspect that has been something I've enjoyed is being challenged. Like not only in the accountability that comes with discipleship every week, like you have someone, like Natanya, we meet up like on a weekly basis, sometimes every other week, but it's kind of accountability in terms of like, oh, like you talked about wanting to improve this aspect of your life, like did you follow up on it and tell me about maybe you didn't, like how come and why is that? And being challenged in the ministry part of discipleship, like go and make disciples. So what does that look like? Like sharing your faith and learning about the ways to share your faith. And yeah, I think it's such a great opportunity to meet with someone one-on-one and have that time allotted to have that comfort zone and just have a safe space to share what's been going on, and also be challenged by someone else to be poured into, and then also to pour out to, and see how your girls are doing and how you can best care for them.
Yeah, so Sam disciples me, and I think there's just so many great aspects to discipleship that I appreciate so much. From just being able to meet up, even though it's hard to find time sometimes to meet up, to be able to allocate like an hour to an hour and a half each week to just be completely unfiltered, just lay out everything out on the table, not afraid of being judged, but having someone there to process like tough decisions with me, or like tough situations with me, and always like leading me back to the Word. But I think my favorite part of discipleship is just being able to see her grow too. Just like she's been discipling me for over 2 years now, and it's been so cool. Last quarter we read Radical by David Platt, and there was like a list of 5 things that was key to us developing a strong relationship with the Lord. And I remember Sam saying to me that when she read this book 2 years ago, she didn't know she could say like that she could check those off the list, but that now she's grown to a point since 2 years ago where she can be able to say like that's where she is, or that's where she wants to be in her walk. And it's been a blessing to walk beside her in that too.
I think my favorite part, I love having food during discipleship. That's really fun. And another thing that I love is just watching how Carissa has grown and matured in the past. Like since coming in as a freshman as her CG leader, and you're very like little Carissa, but like she's grown up and matured so much, and like I see how much you're serving now. And discipleship sometimes isn't even like me pointing to her. It's just like a mutual respect and a mutual like, vulnerability, and it's just like a really deep friendship at this point, and that's like seeing that over the years has been like favorite.
So really quick, the next question is, how did you ask, if that wasn't addressed already, and who asked you? Please.
Okay, so I asked Sam, and I asked her the winter quarter of my freshman year, which is super early. But I decided to ask Sam because, she was my CG leader, but I think there was one point I had a one-on-one with Sam at Red Radish, and she asked me what my testimony was, and even though I've shared my testimony with a lot of people before that, just the way that she really dove deeper and asked questions about my testimony. I was like, wow, I want this person to continue to ask me these questions in my life. And it was the blossoming of a great relationship.
So the first time I met Jessica was at dessert potluck during her freshman year. And I remember just having like a really solid conversation with her. She was like really mature, and I was like, wow, this girl is like really cool. And yeah, just like got to know her story a little bit more. Yeah, and then I really prayed about it. Just in the season of thinking about discipleship and like people that I had conversations with and that I feel like were really impactful, Jessica was the first person to pop in my mind. So, wait, actually, okay. During winter break, okay, Danica, I love her so much. Actually, I just want to say something more deeper. So, discipleship, I feel like really fell into our laps. Like, I feel like she says that she asked me, but another story that actually happened, I actually never went to dessert potluck. We went to, but this is what happened. This is funny, if you want to hear the story. So what happened was during WOW Week, my freshman year, my WOW leader asked me, oh, what do you want to join? And I was like, crew. And then he was like, you know, you remind me a lot about my past roommate. He was rooming with Danica freshman year. He was like, you remind me a lot about Danica Lau, this girl named Danica Lau. And I remember just, if your WOW leader says something to you and says you remind them of someone, like it makes you want to know who that person is. And it was so funny because the day of, this girl randomly texted me and he was like, hi, I'm Danica Lau. And tonight there's going to be a meeting at the UU and come if you want to join Epic. And I was like, oh, wow, Danica, that girl that was talking about, my WOW leader was talking about. And then I went and I already knew that I wanted to go to Crew. I didn't really know what Epic was at that time. And then what was so amazing, I think it was totally a God thing. I went and obviously because of my WOW leader, I literally went to the UU and I hunted her down. I was like, where is Danica Lau? And I found her. And that's how we met. And then later on, Danica asked me out for a fall quarter. We went to Petra's. And that was our first one-on-one. And then winter quarter, she had a class right after mine. And so I was like, oh, I haven't seen her since fall quarter. And so I asked her if we could hang out. And then that's when she asked me. I just want to say this, I think I'm over time, but I just feel like I was never looking for a relationship. I was never looking for a discipleship. I was never looking for like a really deep friendship because I guess a lot of freshmen coming into college, I feel like a lot of you guys have probably invested in relationships before college. Like you have really good friendships before and you come in thinking, oh, like college is going to go by like this and I'll never find friend as great as my high school friend. I just want to say, like, you may be wrong because I feel like God really knows what you need. And had it not been freshman year WOW Week when my WOW leader was telling me about Danica Lau out of nowhere, and had it not been Danica Lau asking me during fall quarter, and had I not reciprocated, I feel like all of that was just God's plan. So I feel like when you ask God for who you want, or what kind of friendships you want, and what kind of people you want in your life. God really does provide, and so, yeah, God is good. Danica was basically an angel. Without her, I don't know how I would have survived sophomore year, so, yeah, that's what happened. The freshman reunion meetup was like within like 2 weeks of dessert potluck, so I apologize. But like everything else that I said was true. Like our conversation.
Yeah, so I actually forgot how I asked Joe. But he forgot to. I think what I did was I asked them to hang out on our Facebook chat. He was a drummer at that time. Or I found out that he he was a drummer, so I'm like, you play drums, I play drums, let's go to the worship garage and play drums. And so yeah, I drove him over to the worship garage. Yeah, and then after I, dropped him back off at North Mountain, Sarah-ish area, and then like, it sounds like, hey Joe, what do you think of Disha? So yeah, let me know. Yep, I mean that's great.
Yeah, you messaged me over summer too. We'll call me over Facebook then summer. Yeah, actually, I forgot about that.
So, wow. I'm going to speak on behalf of our pair. So, for Larkin, I don't have any cool stories like that, but for Larkin, yeah, I don't know, I feel like I was just inspired by who he was, and I really wanted to enter into a more intimate relationship. Sounds weird, but in a one-on-one sort of relationship with Larkin. And so yeah, I asked him at the beginning of this year, actually, in the beginning of fall quarter, right before school started, just hit him up with text. And so if you guys don't know, Larkin was actually doing a co-op in the fall, so he was in Sloan. So God's grace, I caught him on a weekend that he was visiting. So we met up at Scout and we just talked it over, prayed about it for a week and a half, and then Larkin said yes, and a little bit after that. So that was great. At that time, I was figuring out discipleship prayer, so I had 5 other disciples, so I was trying to figure out how to pair people, because I do pair discipleship, so I'm like, with Jesse, I've actually been discipling Jesse for the past 2 years now. This is the 3rd year, but it's 2 full years at this point, I think. Yeah, because so Jesse was in my Bible study, me and John's Bible study when we were doing T1 Bible study 2 years ago. And I remember, I think we had a Bible study, or a community group specifically on discipleship, the topic of it. And then the next week, Jesse was like, let's meet up one-on-one. I was like, oh, okay. And so we got Santa Cruz, and I remember I showed him how to get extra chips. You get a plate instead of the little crappy thing that they give you. You just put all the chips on there. And I remember Jesse's like, wow, life hacks. I was like, okay, there's more to that he's intrigued by it. Honestly, I just remember talking with Jesse, and we just clicked on a lot of different points. We were both really driven, both really go-getters, and our personalities really clicked together. And then at the end of that conversation, he was like, yeah, I actually just wanted to ask to see, you could disciple me. And I was like, oh, yo, that sounds awesome. Let's pray about it, and I'll get back to you. But yeah, I think it took half a week after that. It was pretty sad. He was already in my community group, and I knew who he was. So yeah, that's one thing I want to emphasize though, with the idea of asking within discipleship pairs. I like to think of it as actually entering a relationship. You gotta know the other person beforehand. You gotta have some sort of pre-existing connection with them, because it is a commitment, right? When you're entering into discipleship, it is absolutely a commitment. And so just understanding what that entails when you're entering into discipleship is really important. So knowing them beforehand is really important too. So yeah, good help with you guys.
Yeah, so that was great. Thank you so much. So we have a lot of questions, so let's try to keep it to 1 to 2 minutes. Yeah, so we just want to say there's no perfect discipler. Obviously, like any relationship, there's ups and downs. Yeah, I think we just want to stress that everybody is flawed one way or another, but yeah, we're really thankful for what we have. Yeah, so for Danica and Jessica, the next question is for you guys. What does a typical discipleship look like for you guys week to week?
So it's a little bit different, from first year to now. Just in the beginning of each quarter, I'll ask Jessica, what's something that's been on your heart? Is something you'd love to dive into? Or if there's a book that I've been thinking about, we would go through that for a quarter. So that's yearly, or quarter by quarter. What week by week looks like. Well, typically, last quarter, we had a specific day, a specific time set where we would meet up, and it's changed. First year, she lived on campus, so most often we would meet on campus. But now that I have a car and she has a car, sometimes we'll meet off campus and we'll get coffee, or she'll come over, we'll make breakfast, or we'll just meet on campus if it's easiest. But typically, we'll spend an hour to an hour and a half the beginning portion, just kind of catching each other up on how the week was highs or lows, or praises, and just kind of see like, okay, where are we at right now? Like how are we doing in our own walks and how classes have been, what the load has been like, and then we'll dive into content. Or if it seems like it's been a pretty heavy week, we'll just keep pressing into like, oh, it wasn't such a good week, like why? Like what happened? What's something that's been like heavy on your heart? Or if there's something that we just want to talk about that we're really excited about, we'll just like spend time to do that too. So that's like a gist of like what week to week looks like. But I think like, yeah, even if we did have like a specific discipleship set up where, okay, we're gonna go and do chapter 7 or we're gonna do like Mark, but if it just seems that like for Jessica, the best thing for that day is just to talk through something or just to like go and sit in Baker in the patio area and just like talk through life. Like if that's the most important thing, then that's what we'll do for a future.
Thank you. Yeah, so you talked about content. So what does content, life, and ministry look like in your discipleship, for example?
So I think in terms of content, every quarter I kind of ask Clarissa what things have been on her mind and what things she wants to dive into and learn about, and we go from there. So for this quarter right now, after reading Radical together, we realized that like Clarissa told me her prayer life. It's like, if you look at your prayer life, like, are you praying more for like yourself or for other people? And she was like, I think I pray a lot for myself. And so this quarter, like, we'll catch up in the beginning, but we'll just spend the rest of the time journaling our prayers together. And we've done in the past, like, read a book together or go through different books of the Bible, things like that. And life is a lot of food involved, so we cook together. And sometimes we like just sit out on the sun on a grass area and talk. I don't really like nature, so we don't really like hike or anything like that. Ministry, we go sharing a lot. 369, I think she keeps me accountable just as much as I keep her accountable to go share, because it's not what we always want to do, but it's like this is what God has called us to do, so we're going to go do it with each other. And ministry can also look like, this is going into like our CG. Sometimes we bake cookies and we give it out to other people. So ministry can look like loving people through action too.
Why did you decide to disciple Joe, and why did you want to be discipled for Joe, and what were the reasons and what kind of like motivated drove you?
Yeah, for me, so I was discipled by David Carditzis, Tang's boyfriend. Yeah, he discipled me my sophomore year all the way till my 3rd year, and yeah, we still like meet up every now and then, like over the summer, and yeah, basically he poured a lot into me. He took a lot of time to care for a lot of guys in my class. He was also my CG leader when I was 1st, 2nd, 3rd year. And yeah, I thought like, wow, like this guy poured so much into me, invested so much time into me, like it's only reasonable if I like give it back. But don't let that be like the only reason why you should come to D-Ship. But yeah, having this like overflow poured into me, I really wanted to give back to the community. And so yeah, I was leading Joe's community group. And yeah, I got to know him over fall and winter quarter. And then spring quarter, that's like the quarter where you just start looking around like, who's like compatible with me? And yeah, I just thought like, I hung out with him a couple times. He piqued my interest, and I don't know, something about this good looking man.
I guess for me, like John asked me, I think my thought process was just like, why not? So I said yeah. but I think like initially I was like, hey, yeah, like I don't really know anything about discipleship, and so I said yeah. I think that I'm saying like yeah.
Yeah, like back in the olden days, we didn't have like a discipleship panel, and so like we weren't really educated about it a lot. So like, yeah, you guys are really lucky. You can listen to us talk about discipleship, and just really learn the heart behind it. But yeah, I think we just got lucky, or no, it was all God. It was all God.
I think I was gonna say that like going into it, I didn't know what to expect. But so it was kind of a big process of figuring out what does discipleship look like for us. And I think for me and John, a big part of it is like how can we grow together. So he asked me questions, I asked him questions. Like we try to figure out answers to these questions together. We go through the Bible, we go through various books that are applicable to our various aspects, our various areas of life. And so that's kind of like developed into this relationship now where I feel very safe with talking to John. He helps me process a lot, like I said earlier. But I think just, it was one of those things where I didn't really know how compatible our personalities were in the beginning, but it's really something that's a big blessing to me every week.
So our next question is for Sam and Clarissa. What is the importance to have a balance of love and truth? And just dive a little deeper on what it means to have love and truth.
Yeah, so I think that it's a normal or like a common misconception of discipleship that it's all fun and games and cooking and Instagram pictures and boomerangs together. But I think that the most memorable discipleship was when Sam really sat me down and we talked about like the doubts that I was having, the doubts that I was having in God's power, and the way that Sam really spoke truth into my life. And some of them were uncomfortable conversations to have about like my like where the dips in my faith and where I wasn't trusting in God enough. But it was encouraging to have someone walking beside me in that and telling me that it was okay and telling me that like that she loves me, that God loves me, and that to refer me always back to His Word. That's something that I appreciate so much in Sam, that she is so in the Word that she can always refer me back to it. And I think a specific example of a time that Sam showed both love and truth into my life was when I had just needed to make like some big decisions about just serving or just like entering into situations that I was really afraid of. And when I doubted like if I was enough, or when I doubted, God's power. But I remember just calling Sam one night and just processing it with her, and for her to encourage me and remind me that I have nothing to prove, that I am enough, to show me and teach me how to look into the Bible and not only listen to others and what their advice for me is, but to see what the Bible has to say to me. And that's like one of the biggest things I've learned from Sam, and I'm definitely going to hold on to it for the rest of my life.
I think that having a balance is important, and something that just came to mind is that I think a lot of the times, like Clarissa said, we can think of discipleship as like just like a cool friendship, and sometimes it can be like, oh, we're meeting up every week so I can get pep talked and I can feel great about like where I am with God. But a lot of the time, like the fact is that we are broken and that we go through ups and downs in life. And if you're considering discipleship, it's fun, but also like realize you're making a commitment to give permission to someone else to speak truth into your life. So if you want to be discipled by someone, do you also want them to tell you the hard things? And are you going to like invite them to tell you the hard things, like things that you don't want to hear? And I think like from those hard conversations is where like a lot of the growth comes from.
Yeah, so our next question is for our trio, Michael, Martin, and Jesse. What are some of the advantages of just having discipleship as a pair?
So this actually isn't my first time doing a trio discipleship. I did one last year with Tyler Mendoza and Ben Tan. And I think through these two experiences, going through a trio for discipleship, it really opened my eyes to how you have two people now that you can point to, two people that you can be vulnerable with, and two people that can hold you accountable as well. And it's not like just the fact that we're in a trio for discipleship shows that discipleship is not just exclusive to one-on-ones. Jesus never really had one-on-ones with his apostles. He met with all 12 of them usually all together and discipled them that way. So I think this is a good way for us. I can learn from Galahi as he came to Christ in college. I can learn from Jesse as he some like pains, like when or suffering during the course of his life. So there's different perspectives and different life lessons that come from each person, and I think doing a trio discipleship has been a very big blessing for me, just to hear different perspectives from people.
Yeah, I would say like another pro of doing a trio discipleship is just like, well, you just get an extra perspective, and also, I think a lot, so you always ask a lot of questions, and so sometimes I feel like I need more time to think about it, and so we're just kind of sitting there, and so it's kind of nice to have like another person there, so then like you can answer, and then I can answer. So it's not like that much pressure, kind of like answer all the time. And I would say like some of the cons of doing a trio is that scheduling is a lot harder, because like with just 2 people, it's so much easier. With 3, it's kind of hard. Yeah, but I mean, it's great.
Yeah, I just think it's cool to be able to, like Logan was saying, share different experiences and share different vulnerabilities. I think having, like Jesse was saying, discussion is really, really cool, because I'm learning too, right? We bounce off of each other, so it almost feels like a really, really small community group that's like much more vulnerable. Yeah, so I really like these trips. Really cool. Yeah, that's the perfect thing.
Great. So this is our, I think this is our last question for our any questions. Why do you think discipleship has been an important part in your walk with the Lord? Just for Jessica, if you could shed some light.
I think I had mentioned it earlier, like some of my favorite things about discipleship. I think it's accountability. Meeting with someone every week, accountability in prayer, and being honest about the prayers that I will be praying for Jessica. So keeping that area of my faith like constant throughout the week. And even for myself, like being discipled too, it's just a really important time during the week for me to process things that I don't necessarily want to process sometimes. And like Sam had mentioned, for someone to have permission to talk into the hard things and ask more and listen to those areas.
I feel like discipleship for me has just magnified how much God really cares for me as a human being. I feel like a lot of us coming into college, we have a lot of different needs, a lot of different insecurities, and we normally don't know how to get help, and sometimes we feel like we don't need help. But somehow I feel like through discipleship, I really learned that God knows exactly what I need and when I need it. And I feel like it was through discipleship that I learned that God has things far beyond what I could have ever wanted or planned. Whether you get discipled or you don't get discipled, I feel like either way, at the end of the day, you know that God has the best interest for you, and He knows exactly what you need, whether it is getting discipled or not getting discipled, because it may not be for everyone. And just because you're not discipled doesn't mean you're missing out, because discipleship is really great, don't get me wrong, but I feel like discipleship for me has just shown me how faithful God is in taking care of me and being there for me when I need it most.
Thank you so much. So now we're going to move on to the Slido questions. And one of the most upvoted questions is, how do you know you're ready to disciple someone? So I guess this question is for those that are discipling. How do you know when the time is right to call the question? What's the question?
So, Justin came up with a thing. It's like the 5 T's that we went through. I don't remember them all. Transparency, togetherness, teachability. You don't remember? Trust. And there's one more. But anyways, all of these facets sort of revolve around getting to know the other person, right? Like, if you don't know them beforehand, just like sitting down and talking with them and seeing if you can enter this sort of relationship with them. Because it's really important to see, like, okay, can I really be open with this person? Because if it's someone that, like, you really feel like against, or you don't believe in like what they're doing, or like which kind of path they're headed, it's going to be really hard for you to enter that kind of relationship with them. It's about like, so the 3 main facets of discipleship that I always talk about are accountability, transparency, and vulnerability. And so those 3 I think comes with like an intentional, like, hey, I want to enter this relationship with you. Hey, I want to be here. And so yeah, develop that.
I also want to share, like, to some like degree, you'll never be ready. And I don't think, like, when first asked me, I don't think I was even thinking of that I was ready to disciple anyone. But what I've learned over the past few years is that, like, meeting up with Ursula every week is just so humbling for me, because as she has grown and like come to like serve Epic more and more and like just serve other people, I've just like realized, like, wow, she's grown so much. Like, I'm definitely not capable of discipling her, like, each and every week. But at the same time, each and every week, it's just me coming back to God and praying, like, I'm not enough, but you are enough. So I think at some point you just have to realize, like, you don't have to feel like you know all this stuff. You just have to fully depend on God and fully be willing for Him to lead you.
Yeah, for me, I think that when you disciple someone, it's the same thing as like serving on worship or leading a Bible study. It should come out of a place of overflow where like your relationship with God is like rock solid, and that you're able to lead someone else where you have been before in your relationship with God. And then like once you lead them towards where you are, you guys continue that walk with God. And yeah, like I guess like the biggest thing I learned is you can't lead someone to some place with God where you've never been before. And so yeah, I just want to point that out. And I guess if the person that you're discipling is ready, I learned from crew talks, there's an acronym FLAT, faithful, leadable, available, and teachable. And so that really helped.
How do you make discipleship not just another event in the calendar?
Well, there's not really an answer, but some weeks I just don't want to do discipleship because you have so many things to do, and I just don't want to. But it's in those times, just ask yourself, if you have the time to spare, like, are you going to make yourself available and just like persevere? There's times where it's wise to not, but sometimes you just have to persevere.
Yeah, I think personally, like, it can be really hard because I don't often meet up with people one-on-one every single week. So I think it is definitely a commitment that I needed to make and that we needed to make with each other since day one. And I think that's like one of the biggest challenges in discipleship is finding time in the midst of the busyness. But I've always found, I always have to remind myself, even now I'm reminding myself that every time I've been able to meet up with Sam, like I've come out, maybe I was tired going in, but coming out of it, I'm just like, again, refreshed. And I think it's really hard to answer that question because it is time that you need to allocate in your calendar. Because if not, you're not protecting it. And you need to protect that time every single week. Yeah, I just always found a lot of like fruitfulness come out of every meetup.
Just like many of us were talking about, when you're going into discipleship, you really want to make sure that you have the time and you do mesh well with your counterpart in your discipleship. If you don't mesh well with your counterpart, then you don't really feel comfortable every single week. It may take some time, but if you mesh well with someone, then you really feel the necessity and the urge to meet up with them for discipleship. And you, like, more often than not, like for me, I look forward to discipleship because it's a time for me to get a little downtime from homework for studying. And like for the weeks that I don't look forward to it, then I still make time for it. I still have the slot allotted for discipleship. And more often than not, when I go in, I'm tired, just like First say I'm tired, worn out from school, but then I come out feeling rejuvenated, knowing that that time we've allotted is for the Lord. Like every time I start discipleship, I always pray that during this time, our time is glorifying to God. And if it's glorifying to God, then you, more often than not, you're going to be feeling more rejuvenated coming out of it.
Yeah, also with discipleship, I want to encourage, there's a creativity aspect to it. Like if you're going through a book week after week, it can get really boring and just like, oh God, another chapter, I have to read another chapter this week. Yeah, so like something I try to do is like change up the material. We'll read like 2 chapters of the book one week. Next week we'll like pray, go through like a psalm or something. There's also like other cool resources. I like to fill out sheets of paper, like remembering the past people that have like influenced you, and then how can you pour into other people. And so I guess just like change up the activities, keep discipleship fresh, instead of like just going straight through material.